Hey, welcome. It's Captain Matt, Boater's Secret Weapon. I want to thank you for joining us for this Sunday night live. We're getting ready to start here in just a couple of minutes here. We'll start about 8:30, but I wanted to welcome you. If you've never been to a live, here's what you can expect. Just go ahead and chat in your comment section, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on YouTube. Just ask your question, leave your comment there, and then as we go through the time, I just kind of scroll down all the comments and I try to answer them. Now, if it's something that I need to ask you a question, I may ask you a question and just put it in the chat again, and I'll come back and I'll get that information so I can give you a more personalized response, something that's going to really add value for you. This is just something I do. One, it's great fun. I really enjoy it. It's helpful for the community. Just sharing my knowledge. Now, one thing that you need to know, I don't know everything about boats. I know a lot about boats. I've been a boater since I was 5. I've sold boats. It's something that is a big part of my life. With that said, I don't know everything. Matter of fact, sailboats, have zero experience with sailboats. Bass boats, very little experience there. Bow riders, deck boats, center consoles, jet boats, twin engines, stern drives, outboards, inboards, all of that I have experience with. And if I have an answer, I'll give you my best answer. If I don't have an answer, I'll try to give you a resource that will be valuable for you. If I have an opinion, I'll try to give you that opinion, but let you know this is what I think, not what I absolutely know. So I look forward to it. Here's a little video intro that a subscriber made for me. Thanks, Bo. And we'll see you on the live when it kicks off here in just a moment. Welcome, everybody. Captain Matt here with you on a lovely Sunday. Appreciate everybody joining. Apologize about canceling and not having this. I've been crazy busy and just need a little bit of a break. Little traveling, or not traveling, filming. Was that last weekend, I think? But good to have everybody back. I'm ready for a fun one. We've got some. Good, Jason. Glad that lined up for you, and good to have you. But I'm excited to be back with you guys. Some interesting things to talk about. If you've got a question, throw it in the chat. If not, I've got a couple things that I will come up. Fresh, cold dogfish, 90-minute IPA cracked. Ready to enjoy the live. Nice. A little dogfish IPA. That sounds good, Jerry. Let's see. What do we have going on? So I did some videos. So you'll see these two, the big industry update lawsuit filed, $100 million inventory, and the market crash video question mark, playing a little YouTube game there for views. But we'll start with this one. If you haven't heard, and I would love to hear what you're seeing in the marketplace where you're at. But there's a local dealer here that has gone out of business in the past. They were at the boat show in February, and they are now closed their doors down, and that happened. That happened the last couple of months. Not the biggest dealer, but they were. I mean, they had a lot of boats on their lot, which was their downfall. if you looked, if you saw this video, and you're familiar with Tommy's Boats they've got a lot of stores in the Midwest, but they've got, I think, 15 locations. They filed a lawsuit against Malibu Boats, saying that Malibu specifically, that brand, not Cobalt, are there other brands that they have there, that they, now the language they use is um, they fraudulently, I don't have the lawsuit in front of me, but fraudulently delivered over $100 million of their most expensive, highest margin, slowest moving surf boats, is the way they positioned it in the lawsuit, to Tommy's, over $100 million, which is probably, I don't know, 500 boats or so, somewhere 500-600 boats. And they're saying that they gave them erroneous information about the market, the conditions, their projections for the coming season. Malibu then responded saying, "Hey, that's not at all what happened. You ordered those boats. You increased your lines of credit to take on that inventory. We were just fulfilling the boats that you ordered." And that's Malibu is saying. And by the way, we had severed our dealer agreement with you because of some improper business practices. Essentially, what they were alleging in the response, you can go Google it. Just Malibu's response. It was in Sounding Straight only last week, I think. Yeah, sometime last week. But essentially, what Malibu is saying that Tommy's was doing is selling boats out of trust. Which, what that means is, they were selling a boat, taking the funds in from the buyer, but they were not paying off their line of credit. They had 10 days to pay off the loan according to their agreement. And they were not. They were using those funds for other things. They were leaving it on the line of credit for a period of time. And they said there was a point where they had up to $15 million of line of credit out of trust. So boats sold. That's probably $15 million with their boats is, we'll call it 40 or 50 boats, maybe something like that, that were, this is 15 location dealership. So was it they expanded too quickly and that caused the issues? Was it, hey, they were having operating cash flow issues and that was why they were doing it? Or was it just clerical errors and just not the proper support in the dealer? It'll be interesting to see. But if you see anybody that is going out of business that's out there, I would love to have you let me know. That would be very, very helpful. So, all right, we got some comments going on here. I got the Weller Old Fashioned. Very nice, very nice. Best fuel for boats, Chad, 100% gasoline is the best. There's and I've got a video on it. Let me see here. I've got a video on why ethanol sucks. Is the video I did, but there's also in boating fuel. This is, I think Aaron did. What fuel do you put in your boat? This it over at the examples of, watch my video first, because obviously watch my video. I'd appreciate that, but really go. I'm just kidding. Go and watch Aaron's video. It's really good. He does a little experiment that explains it real well. That essentially boats have a open to the environment system. There's filters in there, but essentially they're vented. They're vented to the outside world, where your car engine is not. Your car engine is a closed system. That's why when you open the gas cap, you hear that in the summertime, is because that it is expanded and it's releasing the pressure. Your boat doesn't do that because it has a release to the outside. You'll notice it I did a video on this called like "What's That on My Boat" or something. There's a little through hull fitting that is the gas vapor release. Now there's filters and there's pulling and there's all sorts of stuff that before it gets there, but essentially that allows water to get sucked into the fuel. Ethanol is much more hygroscopic than 100% gasoline, and it will attract that moisture and it causes major issues. The other problem um, with ethanol is that it is also, hey, we don't use our boats as much, and so the fuel sits for a lot longer and it's more likely to break apart. So you've got 90% gasoline, 10% ethanol, and it's called phase separation. That will separate. Once it's separated, it's not going back together without going through the whole process. And so that can cause some serious issues as well. There's other issues that come with it. If you're asking what octane, Chad, in that case, the Merck manuals will say this is a max horsepower rating with 87 octane. Even their newer models, I think even the Pro XS, the outboard is 87 octane. Now, Volvo will say 93, I think, is what they're still giving for their max horsepower rating. But I'm more focused on the 100% gasoline than the versus the ethanol than 87 versus 93 octane. You're totally fine with 87 octane. The Rec 90 that's out there is probably the Valtech Rec 90, probably the best because it's got marine additives because of the corrosive environment. But 100% gasoline is what you want to go with if you can find it. If you're in California, you're SOL, and in that case, then you got to use some treatment like this Marine 360, and you have to do the best you can. Try to run that fuel out every 30 to 60 days if you can, and do it accordingly. So there is, hopefully that answers the question for you, Chad. The end of last season, my Regal's trim angle gauge needle was bouncing all over when I adjusted the drive. Any thoughts on a sensor? I'm going to guess it's a wire. I'm going to guess it's a ground wire issue, would be my assumption. But yours is a 19. So check where are the ground wires? On yours, there's a ground wire on the drive, on the very bottom of the drive, I think, that you'll check. And a lot of times that can get corroded, especially leaving the boat in the water when they're painting, when they're doing something down there. It's easy to get disconnected, to snap, to break. But that would be something that you'd want to check, is the ground. And then just check up under the helm. Maybe there's just a wire that's there's a little bit of a short, a nut came loose on a connection, and that could be causing the problem as well. Those are kind of my two gut reactions, Jerry. That's where I would start. Somewhere when it's bouncing, it's probably, in the age of the boat, I'm going to guess it's a wiring issue and not a trim sender issue. But that's where I would start, I would think, on that. Company I work for got short contract Malibu boats. Sucks that I didn't. Yeah, it's now what's interesting. Let's see, Eric. All right, Eric, let me get to you here. I appreciate the contribution for sure. 22 Tritune 150 Merc running 15 by 15 prop, 5,000 RPM. Okay. What's RPM for a Merc 150? Now, Eric, let me know, is it the Merc 150 4-stroke or is it the Merc 150 Pro XS? that that is a question that is going to dictate that. First of all, that RPM range sounds low, even if it is a four stroke. So, and what year are we talking? I'm assuming newer, but I'm going to say Mercury 150 horsepower four stroke max RPM range. I think it's, yeah, I was just going to say, I was thinking it was 5,500, but 56 to 5,800. So you are, okay. All right. Perfect. So 22 four stroke. So you are 500, six to 800 RPMs shy on your max RPMs. Now, I don't know whether that's with any weight in the boat or just yourself. Here's the way I look at it, Eric, is if it's just you, you want to prop it to be okay. If it's just you running the boat when you're running the tests, but you usually run 6, 8 people in that boat, then what you want to do is you want to do your RPM test, and you want to be on the very top end. So you want to be as close to 5,800 as you can get. Maybe even a little bit more if you put a lot of weight on it, because what's going to happen is when you weight that boat down and you go wide open throttle, your max RPM is going to drop based on the amount of weight. So if it's just you and a wife and 2 kids, well, then I would get it 56, 57, 5,800. Probably doesn't really matter. But if you're running 6, 8, 10 people on that boat, then I really am going to push to get close to that 5,800 with just me in the boat. Maybe even 5,900 with just me in the boat, knowing that my regular weight is going to push me down, and I'm going to be closer to that 5,600 range. Hopefully, I'm explaining that right. That so what you want to do is you want to go with a little bit more pitch, or no, I'm sorry, a little less pitch to bring that RPM range up. Okay, so you've got at least 600 RPM. So depending on where you're at, 15. Let me see here, and you're running that on a pontoon. All right, so let me. What is the best prop for a 2022 Mercury four stroke on a pontoon? 150 horsepower four stroke. And let's see, what's the size prop? You said you've got a 15 diameter, and this is coming from there. Who's got the best prop guide? The best prop guide. Who is it? Solus that has it? There's somebody that's got a really good one, I know. And all right, so let's go with Merc 150. Four stroke. Newer aluminum pontoon. You didn't say tri-tune. You said, okay, tri-tune, 22 feet. I'm going to guess 4,000 pounds. You could tell me that's, and then I'm going to assume you're running a stainless. And I'm going to say, I'm guessing you're running a 3-blade on there. 17. So you're at a 15. 7. I'm going to go to a 17. Um, yeah, it's my gut tells me that okay, 3 blade Solus aluminum sport tube. You're at a 15. Gosh dang. We need to get more RPMs. I'm going the wrong direction. 13. Gosh dang. 13 seems small for that boat. And I'm assuming also that you've got clean bottom and all that. Um, what does that what does that call for? That 13 seems that doesn't feel right. Um, best pitch prop for a 150 horsepower 4-stroke. This is why propping a boat is an art and not an exact science, is because there's a lot of different factors and it's more a matter of testing back and forth to see what you get. But we need more RPM for you, so we need to go down in pitch. But gosh dang, 13 seems, unless I'm getting wrong that you're not a 15 pitch, um, that you're not a 15 pitch on that. But 22 pontoon. Yeah, indicates 16 or 17. I want to get this from Mercury. Here we go. And so what's interesting is when I was selling boats is the boats are shipped without props in a lot of cases. And even if we would change based on our experience, and you notice it had an elevation question there as well, is we would adjust the prop that came from the factory at time based on the situation, and we would adjust them. And so it's sort of an art, but I don't remember. I don't remember where can I find prop selector. Do this. Hey Eric, do me a favor. Um, shoot me an email here, and I'm going to I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to do some playing with this because I would say going down 2 sizes, but that just doesn't, a 13 pitch on a 150 on a tri-tune just doesn't feel right to me. Like my guts leading me to a 17 pitch. So let me know, send me an email and let me know for sure what the pitch is. And if you would, I don't have my dinged up prop. If you want to take a picture of it, it's printed. It is printed on the prop. Prop size stamp. So let me see if you're not familiar with it. There we go. This is a good one. You can see it right here. This will give you the diameter and the pitch. So 15 by 15. Gosh dang, a 15 pitch prop. That's only getting to 5,000. You go down, you're going to get another, but 13, I don't know. Let me do some digging because I don't want to steer you wrong with this. And it's such a pain unless you have a local dealership or a local um, repair shop that's gonna let you test run the props to get it just right so you can get it dialed into that 5800. I'm going to try to give you a more direct line so that you test one, and that's going to get you really, really damn close. So send that to me. Send a picture of this if you can snap that. Email it to me, and I will. I'll do some researching for you and help you out if that sounds fair to you. Um, because you need a little bit more. That motor is working a little bit too hard. It's not crazy bad, but again, is that 5,000 RPM? Is that 5,000 RPM with just you in the boat? Or is that with it loaded up with 6, 8 people in the cooler and a full tank of fuel and full gear? If that's the case, I'm probably okay with 5,000. But if it's just you, I'm not happy with that at all, because then when you put the weight in the boat, now you're going to be at 4,500, and that motor's just working too hard. So let me know, and I'll try to get you pointed in the right direction. All right, and thank you very much for the contribution. By the way, I very much appreciate that. Um, let's see. That's right. Dad's boat was up to shop this week for a recall on the trailer. Had to fish the first Thursday tournament out of my sportsman. Interesting. Totally wasn't prepared. Well, hey, that give you the other guys a shot, Give the other guys a shot. That's I bet you got some looks from some of the fellas when you rolled up with that. Yeah, that'll be give you a little challenge. Give them guys a chance. BC, welcome. Just replace water separator filter after 100 hours. No water. Only non-ethanol fuel used. Rec 90 always. Yep, that is. Hey, fuel water separators are awesome because depending on where you get your fuel, you never know when they get moisture in the fuel tank especially if that's at a marina. If it's something that they don't cycle their fuel consistently, it can get some moisture in it that way. But when you use that Rec 90, you're much, much, much less likely to get water in there, although it can come from other sources. So that's awesome, Boat Life crew. Love it. As far as I remember, the ethanol-free gas docks and the Chesapeake only sell it. Yeah, it's common. That Rec 90 is I said Valtech. Is that with the C? I don't remember. You'll recognize the logo on Rec 90 fuel. You'll recognize the logo. Is it CH? There we go. You'll recognize this logo on. Dang, that was hard to get that picture. You'll recognize this Valtech, Valtech. That's why I'm wrong. Logo on that Marine Rec 90 fuel, and most marinas are going to pump that or something very, very similar, because it is good. All right, Punta Gorda Tim, welcome. Good to have you. Are my wife and I going to Punta Gorda? We're going somewhere in June that my wife was really excited. She booked it and everything, but I don't know. That may be where we're going. I'll have to look it up. You're awesome. Thanks for answering my question. We only have one gas station within 8 miles of my local lake as options for fuel. Well, good deal. Hopefully that will keep you on the water more consistently, keep that engine in better shape for a long, long time to come. Thanks for the advice on the trim wire. I'll check it out before we launch the boat in about 10 days. It's getting there, getting there, getting there. We were rainy and cold all weekend today, but I'm ready. I'm ready, ready, ready. I don't know who I was telling somebody the other day about. I need to get out there. Interested to see your market update dropping soon. Yeah, it's coming tomorrow. So it's coming tomorrow, and I did a interesting search on Boat Trader. Just how many brand new 2022s are in the marketplace, and how many brand new never been registered 2023s are in the marketplace. 2023s was around 27,000 listings on Boat Trader. So now sometimes there's double listings, but I'm going to say from the ones that weren't on the list and the double listings, they probably even out. So that number for the industry is, I've never done that search before, but that's assuming the market is going to sell, let's say, call it 220,000 boats this year, 200,000. That's 12-15% of the market's going to be 23s sold this year. To clear most of those out, there were what 3,000 2022s on the market, I think was the number. But that was an interesting number. The 23s were a little higher than I expected, or my gut was telling me. But what was the number? When I did that poll in December, I think like 6,023 boats have been sold from December to when I ran that about a week ago. So they're moving. They're just moving a little bit slowly. And yeah, there's some other updates, and the Malibu one. I mean, that's big. If that's 500 boats now, the I've got a call into, and hopefully I can talk to him. Hopefully I can talk to him next week. But somebody that's at the National Marine Lender Association, Jim, is going to kind of download some of his data on what they're seeing on loan default rates and repossession rates. And then if he has it, I don't know if he has it to give me or not, but information on floor plan financing and there's like 3 or 4 major floor plan providers where all the dealers borrow to buy their inventory, and to give me an idea of our like North Point Financial, Wells Fargo, M&B Bank, are they tightening up and they not allowing dealers to buy 24s and 25s, which I think some dealers are in that situation. Are they seeing defaults? Are they seeing shenanigans like happened, so-called alleged shenanigans at Tommy's, where they're selling boats out of trust and they're not paying off their line of credit? What are we seeing out there? So I was hoping to get that in, but it didn't quite come together. So I decided to release the market update and just sort of let it ride. And I will come to that with a separate video, probably late next week, or depending on making sure we connect by the end of the month, hopefully. Okay, 3-blade aluminum. Michaela, good to have you. Hopefully, you guys are getting ready to get that center console on the water. The 248 Commander. But good to have you and Jason on. Always appreciate having you guys. Always call the guys at Power Tech when I want to change props to make sure my good idea is correct. Yeah. Let me see. Power Tech. Props. Boats. All right. Power Tech propellers. Yeah, I was wondering if they had a calculator, but yeah, that's having somebody like that. Are these guys local to you in Shreveport, Louisiana? Yeah, having somebody as a resource, and the good thing, Eric, is all right. 115 double cupped, 15 pitch double cup. Okay, yeah, dang, yeah. Having a resource like that to call, and the good thing is, listen, a 150 on a 22 tri-tune, that is with a sport tune, that is such a common setup that it'll be a pretty good. If I say, hey, does a 13 pitch sound reasonable? They'll be like, no, that's way off base. Let me know also, Eric, the brand of boat, and that the tunes are clean. I would assume. I mean, it's April. I'm going to assume that the tunes are clean because they probably haven't gotten much growth yet, and the boat's just getting in the water, is my assumption. But yeah, that'll be something I can help you out with. Considering a slip for my pontoon 9009 tracker. 9 feet across. The boat's 8'6". Is that it's tight? It's real tight, but it's not too tight. Osmosis. The key will be is, hey, just take it in nice and slow. Um, a 10-foot slip might be better, but it's doable. I mean, it's not uncommon to go into a slip. You got 3 inches on each side, so you should be in good shape. If you do find yourself in a situation where it's really challenging for you, you've got wind, you've got current that's going to push you. What you can do is they've got um, yeah, it depends on how your dock is set up, but you can use a little bit of a pivot. I always like the idea is, especially on a pontoon, open up that front gate and I just nose it right up there, real, real, real slow, and almost just let the boat just slide over and then get that first third in, and you should be in good shape. If you struggle with handling the boat, get our best pontoon program. That will be a significant help. But yeah, you should be okay with that setup. That is a pretty common slip size as well in a lot of marinas. Generally, going down in pitch will cause you to raise the RPM, but whole shot would decrease less pitch. Always had a 4 blade. Remember pitch also have a better hole shot stability for higher speed turns. Yeah, that is true. I'm trying to think. Going to a 4 on a pontoon could be good. It could also, Eric. One of the things I'm okay, perfect. Um, Boat full of tanks. Okay. But the other thing that I'm thinking is, and this is, I think people monkey with this too much. But the raising and lowering of the motor, maybe that motor is too far down and it's creating too much drag. I don't know if you're blowing out. I don't know if you said anything about blowing out. I don't think so. Um, Yeah. But that's another thing that I think about is does going to a 4 help you? And how do you use it? Are you really just, hey, I want to make sure it's propped right so I'm not putting too much pressure on the engine, too much abuse on that engine, or are you doing it for, hey, we're trying to do slalom skiing and we just aren't getting out of the water. Um, and I would look at it a little bit differently in each situation, but good deal. I'll look for that email and look to hear back from me probably mid next week, Eric, on that. Yeah, that's the other thing. The 1515. Um, it looked like from the calculator that 1515 is about right, but there are a lot of them that were a little bit smaller than 15 in the diameter, which makes me think, okay, if you went down in diameter and went up in pitch, maybe that's going to be the combination that's going to get you there. Um, Swinging a little bit smaller diameter, but a little bit more pitch, that could be. But again, call in Power Tech or I'll call one of my probably Mike at Charlotte Boat Repair, because I know he's got that set up running on a bunch of his clients' boats, and he'll be able to tell me right away, like, nah, that's crazy. You're nuts. 13 pitches way off, or going different diameter is not the right move either. He'll be able to tell me. Um, he'll be able to tell me for sure. Okay, cool. Very good. I like it when my explanation makes sense. Sometimes in my head, I start talking and I'm like, that's not even coming through the way I want it to. If I remember correctly, going down an inch in pitch will give you, yeah, that's one pitch equals about, I was always thinking it was like 3 to 500. So even more, but 2 to 300 seems right. Now that I think about it, if I had that 500 in my head, but we've got 800 RPM to go up before we get outside the top end. And so yeah, that's, I mean, shoot, if it is 300, that's almost three going down. I mean, 12 is in that's there's no way it's a 12 pitch. That just doesn't even sit with me at all. So we'll get it figured out. We'll get it figured out. But yeah, that's Brock. I think you're right. Sustainability, good to have you. Should we be using non-ethanol? They sell it at, yes, osmosis. If you can use non-ethanol gasoline, 80, what it calls for is 87 non-ethanol if it's a Merc or Merc Cruiser. Uh, like I said, Volvo, and I think Yamaha's the same. I think Suzuki's the same. They're both still calling for 87 octane. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm like 90. I know Volvo calls for the higher, but non-ethanol is that's to me over octane is that's the bigger one. So ethanol versus non-ethanol is a bigger um, has better more impact on the longevity and the reliability of your day boating than 87 versus 90 93 octane. That's just going to give you a little bit less performance, but it's not going to cause damage. Where the ethanol could potentially, not if you run a tank of ethanol, you're fine. If you have to run ethanol, just be aware that you've got to run through it quickly. And that's what I would put in my boat. I would spend that extra money to put if I've got the choice, to put the straight gasoline in, the non-ethanol fuel in. 211, you can go down diameter, but you have to be careful that you don't overpower them, spin them, causing cavitation. Smaller prop will have less drag. Yep, yep, for sure. Howdy, fellas. Yeah, it was last week. I think I was filming last week. There was what? Yeah, last week I was filming. There was another week where it just didn't want to. I was too tired, and my daughter was sick. There was stuff going on, and I'm like, honey, I'm just not doing it tonight. So, boats home prices are dropping fast. Boat Life Crew, where are you at? Because where I am, home prices are not dropping. Home prices continue to go up, but I'm in one of the fastest growing markets. I think our osmosis, thank you very much. Much appreciated on that. Um, but I'm curious what's going on in other parts of the country home wise. Boat prices, they're coming down. There's deals to be had, but we're also getting into the selling season, and so we're April. I say tax day is kind of the start of the main selling season outside of the boat shows. The main selling season of the weather's warming up. You get that impulse buy a little bit more. You get the I'm ready to go on the water. I've been thinking about this and I'm done thinking. I'm going to do it. Those people start coming out around the 15th to about Labor Day. Not Labor Day, 4th of July weekend is when the main chunk of boats are sold in the country. So we shall see what happens there. Um, yeah, that's about right. Took the kids to pick up the order from Bass Pro today. Had to stop, look at boats. 22 Tritune fishing barge with the Merc 150 trailer was 56,420. So that boat, just as a frame of reference, that boat was 39,000 on a trailer back in 2018. That boat was still under 40,000. So it, that's the type of inflation that we've seen on boat prices, and you can fill that in with virtually any boat that's out there. Um, yeah, that's interesting. 56,420 and Bass Pro pretty much that 22 XTP was it XTP, the 150, and a trailer. They package them all exactly the same, other than color. They're the options you can get are add a cover, and upgrade to a 200. Those are your two options. So there aren't a bunch of other stuff in there. And yeah, that is interesting. And when I was at Bass Pro not too long ago, I'm just kind of a train of thought. Bass Pro, um, I was at Bass Pro not too long ago looking at them, and they had the incentives that they were offering were interest rate incentives, and the gift card incentives that they typically do. So let's go. Well, I want boats. Why am I not the boating center? That's what I want, I guess. Pontoon, and I want the sun tracker. '24 sun tracker party barge XP3 with the 149.9. No haggle, no. That's interesting because they usually, what'd you say, 56 420. Okay, fishing. So I wonder, is the fishing one, the fishing one's not that much more expensive. Fish 40 XP3. Interesting. 48,995. Rated to buy. All right. So that's interesting. That's interesting that it's 6,000, 7,000 more than what I'm seeing here, unless there was some electronics. But usually they don't do that. Usually they're the same, no matter where I'm at. And that's super interesting, Dustin. I appreciate you sharing that data point. That makes me want to go to Bass Pro and see what they're listed here, because they don't do many upgrades that are going to impact the price. All right, tunes are clean. Sylvan, okay, 5200 Trisport. Cruise went top end speed. Okay, all right, good deal. That's gonna help me. Um, that's gonna help me when I talk to Mike. Know my boat top speed 300 Yamaha. I have a 17 called PowerTech. They said 18. X series give me about 3 miles 5 if I got lucky. Um, yeah, nice. That I'm going to check them out. And actually, I wonder, um, what I should do is ask them if they'll do a prop video with me. That might be a cool video to have a prop expert talk through the nuances in it in a very clear and concise. I don't like my propping video is I contradict myself. I get it mixed up at one point in the video. Um, and Yeah, I'm gonna ask them if they want to do a video with me. That'll be a good idea. Too deep. Yeah, that's the depth of the depth of the motor. But the reason I asked what brand was is because like Sylvan, I'm guessing not all, but a lot of their dealers get the motors hung and rigged at the factory. The factory's not making that mistake. The factory's not putting in the wrong hole. Now the dealer, if they don't rig very many pontoons, the dealer may put it in the wrong hole. They've got an apprentice that's doing it, or they just don't do many. That's not unheard of, not common by any means, but it's not unheard of. And um, that could be another adjustment. But I like to look at the prop adjustment first because that's the most likely issue. So bring it up a hole or two, 14, 15. Yeah. Yeah. I think there could be a combination of, Eric, I'm curious, did you buy this boat from the dealer recently? Is this a boat that you bought pre-owned? But if you know what the history of, did the motor get rigged at the factory, or did it get rigged at the, or any reason why that motor would have been pulled and put back on? I'm curious about that. Unlikely, but something to consider. And then also a picture when you, if you can, when you email me, a picture of, like, so you've got the running surface of the boat. Take a straight edge, like a 2x4 or something, and run it off uh, the bottom of the tune, and run it straight. And I want to see where that lines up based on the anti-ventilation plate on the motor. So I can see where that's sitting. That will give me, it's not 100% perfect. Sometimes you want to see it running. How does it sit in the water? Maybe it's with full fuel. Maybe it sits a little bit butt heavy. But if you can give me that picture, that will also tell me, that looks about at the right level. Again, a little bit of an art. That one's a little bit more science, but that'll give me another data point of what to consider. Calls for 89. Yeah, okay. So 89, not 87. That I wonder. I bet Suzuki's 89 too. Then on the fuel octane is what I'm talking about there. Yeah, mine does that. 87 non-ethanol would be better. Um, Price isn't $2 a gallon. Yeah, makes a difference. Makes a difference. Uh, Taylor Swift just dropped a song about Florida that mentions Destin, so we're bracing for an influx of Swifties and rental pontoons this summer. Be careful out there. Hey, when you see that rental pontoon, when you see that big, rental or the big Marina logo on the side, just steer clear. Go to the other side of the waterway. Just let them pass by, because you don't know what's going to happen, and expect the unexpected. Um, I'll have to ask my daughter about that song. I've got two little Swifties in this house that I'm sure she'll have some insights on that song. $4 a gallon here for 89. Naples, Florida, home selling way lower than asking price. Interesting. Um, Last I checked, 90 non-ethanol was about $5 a gallon. 87 10% ethanol is $3.19. Is that 90 non-ethanol? Is that on the water, or is that at the pump? Where Q? So this is where I'm at. Regulars 334, premium 384, but I don't think they're going to give me non-ethanol. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find that. I was somewhere and I meant to save it. I was researching something last week, and I came across a marina that had their fuel prices posted, and I should have bookmarked that page, so I've got it just as a reference point to see what water fuel is on the water. I want to say it was up in the Chesapeake area. Um, El Rivera, thanks for answering some of my emails. Ended up picking up an '08 Yamaha SX210 in my price range. Congratulations, that's awesome. And yeah, I get so many emails and so many questions for folks that invest in the programs. I try to answer those as best I can. I had this one guy that, I mean, he sent me a 5-page email with like 10 photos and was asking me all these detailed questions. And I was like, listen, I help as much as I can. I've got 600 videos out. I do a live virtually every weekend where I try to answer questions. If you want to donate, it's always appreciated, like Eric and Osmosis did. That's always very much appreciated. But I don't have the time. If you want to hire me to do a one-on-one session, be happy to do that. But I've got to charge. If you want me to help you buy a boat, my time's valuable, my knowledge is valuable, and you've got to pay me for that. And I think it offended him, and I'm like, I don't know what else to do. But I do try to answer. I do try to answer some questions when I can, and I'm glad that was valuable for you. And I'm glad you got a nice boat that you're excited about, and have a good fun summer out there. Send me a picture, El Rivera, if you would. I would super appreciate it. You can find 99 ethanol around here, 410. 87 is 375. Regular is around 3. Yeah. The docks 90 is at 565. Yeah, $2 over what's on the on land is I think pretty common. 399 at Circle K. 9 non-ethanol 90. So $4 a gallon. The trailer was 52.50, and the dealer prep was 475. Destination charges were another 1,700. Interesting. Are they not? All right, now I got to go back. I got to go back to Bass Pro. Because they used to, that's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing, is they used to package their boats with the trailer, and that was the price that they gave. And now I think you may have found Party Barge Fish. Price excludes prep and freight. So that prep, would you say 475, freight 1,700. So that's another $2,000. And then the trailer, let's see here. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, so they're taking that trailer out now, I bet, from what you're saying, and that gets us, yeah, that gets us to that 5,600. Actually, yeah, that gets us right there. So that's exact. Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate that. I was like, what the heck is going on here? But yeah, that and this, Bass Pro Shop is selling to they're selling to new first time boat buyers a lot, and keeping that price point down is one of the keys to their business. And so taking that trailer out, even though I would venture to say 90% of their customers buy a trailer, and they always package them with the painted trailer. Same thing with the Yamaha jet boats, is they're typically package them with a painted trailer. You dunk that thing in salt water one time, and 2 years later, if you're lucky, that trailer's falling apart. So that's something you got to watch out for if you're in salt water anyway. If you're freshwater, it doesn't really matter. My Sea Hunt 239 Ultra with the F300 runs 1525 and 19, goes 5,800, 55 miles an hour, only 22 hours on the motor. Yeah, that a 300 with the 19 pitch with a 15 and a quarter, and his was 15 and 15. Yeah, dang. Yeah, there's its own bought dealership Lake Havasu. They sell a ton of, yeah, that's, so you're the first owner. Yeah, it would shock me that they hung it wrong, that they hung it on the wrong hole. Not that can't happen, but that they sell a ton of Sylvans. They know they've sold a 22 with a 150 before. They know where to hang that sucker, and it's not the first time they've done it in that week probably. So, all right, yeah, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna figure this out for you. Last I checked, the pump on the pavement. All right, 3 blades more efficient, higher top end speed, a little more slippage out of the hole. My OEM is a 15 pitch. Uh, like to try out a 17. Come close to red line. Um, it's a heavy boat, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that I always like on the one I remember is my family had a 22 Crown Line that I would, when we went on our family vacation to the Lake of the Ozarks, and we had that boat when we had our place down there too. But I would always, and we would tow the boat back and forth because we boated on the river, but then took it down, used it at the lake, and it would go back and forth. So brother would back the trailer, I would put the boat on, but I would go out and dad like to tow it home with as little fuel as possible in it, and so we would never fill it up the last day except for whatever we were going to use. And then because I'm a good son, I would take it out in the main channel at, we were loading up at like 8 in the morning on a Monday or something, and whenever we were heading out, and I would go and just put the hammer down, and I would always get the rev limiter beep, because it was just me, almost empty, most of the gear was out of it, and we would hit that rev limiter. Yeah, I would hit that rev limiter. I would have that baby trimmed all the way up, getting to over 50, 52 miles an hour. And but then it ran just perfect when you were loaded up with everybody, and even if you were wide open throttle, it still ran in that perfect sweet spot of that max RPM range where it was towards the top end, but wasn't getting bogged down. So yeah, if it's just yourself, you got it trimmed up, light load, hitting that red line or getting right there is totally fine in my opinion. But you don't want that baby working too hard for sure. Chris C, welcome, a new name. I've been tracking the prices Sea Ray 350 SLX on Boat Trader since Christmas. Prices reduced more than 30%. Buyers still not showing up. I'm not a buyer without another 15% drop. Interesting. Yeah, in those big day boats, and you've got to look at, it depends on if you're new or used, but you've got to look at the listing price and the buy price, and what that is. But that's pretty interesting. Let me go. And I'm not sure, Chris, if there was just one that you were looking at, or if you were looking at a number of them. But let's see here, 350 SLX. Yeah, let me open this up. That's not a very good location for what we're doing. 1,000 miles. Yeah, so there's still only, we've got this one at DKR Marine. That's a 17. We've got a 17 at Isle of Palms. That's a saltwater boat. So there's only 2 for sale. That's the thing that's interesting, is when you get into those boats where they don't make very many, there's not much market to see where it's going. And it could be, I mean, we've got $16,000 difference just between these two, with options, saltwater versus freshwater. Where's this one? That's Miami, so that's another saltwater. What the options have, what screens they have, what engines they have. But that's interesting that's what you're seeing there. My 2017 Suzuki DF150 is 87. Okay, so we got 87 on that. We had 89 on the Yamaha, the 300 Yamahas, but still not going up higher than that. Chris, let me know where you are, and if you were looking new or if you were looking used on that side. That'd be interesting to see. But I think if I can open this, what if we go 2024? Yeah. I mean, even on the new side, Irwin's got 2 of them, it looks like. Irwin's got maybe 3 of them, but no, that's interesting that nobody else would. When I don't know a East Coast zip code, I always go 90210 because of that stupid show. I never watched it, but let's go 68137. That's a good Ozark boat. None there. So there's very, very few of them on the market. That 350 SLX, very few on the market. On Boat Trader anyway. You know, that's I don't think that's 100% of the marketplace, but Irwin is the only one. 28210. We'll use a Carolina one. Irwin. Interesting. Yeah, they just I mean, if they make, I don't know, if they make 100 of those boats, I would be shocked. Of the 350 SLX, they just don't make a ton of those big ones, but there's a lot of money in them because of the big price tag. Mike, so weight of your boat, half fuel. Specs on 2024 Sea Hunt 239 Ultra. 2600 dry weight on that Jason, on Mike's boat. That I think that's what he's got, 239 Ultra SE. Let's see here. JC Hobbs, welcome. Got a 95 Stratus 225. The 225 Yamaha. Plan on selling or trading for a new center console next year. Awesome. Very good. Moving styles a little bit. Zach W, is that a TAC reading or actual RPM reading? And that's a good, hey, Zach, very interesting point. Is maybe the RPM gauge is not 100% accurate. Do you have, let's see, do you have vessel view, or is it a digital gauge? My gut tells me it's probably on that Sylvan 154 stroke, probably a digital, but verifying that 5,000 RPM is accurate and not just little misreading from the gauges. Some of the analog gauges aren't as accurate, obviously, than the digital ones. Thank you, Zach, for bringing that up. That didn't even cross my mind as another potential something that could be going on. Reason I'm wondering, I figured about 6,000, only got 51, 15, and 17 pitch. Yeah, that 29 is what yours is a 248. Yours is a 248 Commander, I think. Wait on box 248 Commander. 2,700 pounds on that. Maximum weight 3,000. Yeah, dry weight 2,700 pounds. So they're similar. That's interesting. Would verify. Yeah. Thank you, Zach, for putting that in. Chris, thanks for reading, responding to my comment. 100%. I go through everybody. I go through everybody. Brock, nothing like the sound of a two-stroke bouncy off the red line. My old 95 bass boat used to hit the rev limiter, less than 15 gallons of gas, no water in the live wells. Yeah, you get that baby, that the lightest weight you're going to run it, and you probably should hit the rev limiter at that point because you're very seldom going to run it at that level. 5,800 pounds all in. Good. Used SLX stir drive or outboard. Help change the search parameters. I'm looking about 20, 30 boats. I live in Chicago. What the heck? Why is my boattrader.com? Powerboat. Sea Ray. Soyuz. That's what I was doing. I put the keyword in as 350 SLX, and I bet it wasn't picking everybody up. So let's go. All right. Boat Trader's not liking me. They shut down my access after using their information in my videos. I don't know what's going on there, but that's what it was, Chris. Is I was searching for the keyword 350 SLX instead of just going to Sea Ray and putting in 34 to 37 foot. I bet I would have got different numbers there, but now Boat Trader's not working with me. All right, I'm going to try it again here, and we'll let it rest a little bit. 42K for a 2019 Crest, 20 Merc. Sound reasonable? Yes. Yeah. Crest is a good top tier brand. Their big thing is they use a little bit thicker aluminum throughout the boat. In 2019, did they do anything that there was a time, and they switched it recently. I don't think they were doing it, but they built this little compartment in the back by the gate, at the rear of the boat, a little storage compartment, but it was built out of wood, and the plywood that they were using sat directly on the carpet, just waiting for that to suck up moisture from the flooring. You kids getting in and out, it's going to suck up the moisture and it's going to rot. They fixed that last time I looked at them. They made it out of aluminum now, but just double check that there's no wood in that back part. If there is, hey, you just got to be real cautious of, maybe try to treat it with some sealant. I don't think you could probably do it, but if you could get to glass it in, so it's not absorbing that moisture. But that was the only thing with the Crest that was like, what are they doing? Like, they're a better manufacturer than that. And I saw that was on the 2020s, I think, maybe the 2021s. I don't believe they were doing it before that, but just that's the only thing that jumps out on a Crest. Solid boat. That seems like a reasonable number. 42 with a trailer, with a 200. Yeah, Zach, I think you're probably on the right track with a nice solid boat. Oh, there you go, 2,600 without the motor. We got to add that in. Let's see here. Dealer says change the impeller, but manufacturer said for another season up to 300 hours, 140 on the freshwater. Yeah, so here's the thing is, if you push it too far, this is what happens. So this is an impeller that I got from a technician somewhere, and these little rubber pieces break off, and then they start flowing through the system. Bad news, especially when you get a little chunk like this, when it breaks down even more, and now you got to tear everything apart to clean that out. That's the problem with today's rubber. It's just, material is not what it used to be 5 years ago. I don't know if it's pandemic, OEM, even OEM stuff is not as good as it used to be 10 years ago. Um, it used to be, I mean, if you ran in fresh water, in a deep water, you weren't getting up in the sand, you weren't driving in the shallows much, you weren't pulling up to sandbars and sucking in a lot of stuff through your intakes. It was nothing to get 5, 7, 10 years out of an impeller. But these days, there's, you buy an impeller off Amazon, and I've got stories of people, it blew apart in the first 2 hours of running it. Now on yours, it came from the factory, with your Yamaha. I would guess 300 hours is probably doable. Um, if you're running in nice, deep, reasonably clean water and you're not pulling it up on sandbars, you're not getting that gritty, grimy stuff that's going to be, if you think about it, it's spinning at a really high rate of speed in a really tight area, and those fins are just getting sandblasted by that gravel and the dirt and the mud and the muck, and that's going to wear it out quicker. It also, sustainability, you run your boat enough that it hasn't just been sitting all crinkled up for a year at a time, and it's just not getting used, and those fins are getting hard, and not supple and not pliable. So you're probably okay. And yet, you know, if you're getting work, if you're getting service done, they're doing the gear lube. It's fairly cheap insurance from what could be an expensive issue down the line. But if you're in deep, clean water, yeah, you're probably okay to push it for another season. It's one of those where is it going to break down? At what point? I don't know. But at a certain point, you get to it. Is it 300? Is it 200? I don't know exactly. There's some. How are you using it? Where are you using that are going to impact it? And you're in freshwater. I don't. Are you on a river? No, you're on a lake. I know where you're at. Um, Fox Lake, right? I think that's what it is. So, weighted mine. That's good when you got access to the scales. All right, we're gonna try this one more time here. Sea Ray search. 4,000 Sea Rays for sale. We're gonna go length 34. Ah, okay. I don't know why Boat Trader's not liking me, but um, yes, for sure. Like and subscribe. Thank you, Chris C. I appreciate that. Um, but by the way, Chris, the Sea Ray, I sold Sea Rays for a number of years, and they hadn't come out with the 350 yet, but the 25, the 250, and the 270 SLX were my favorite boats to run. I love taking those out. I love the layout. They rode amazing. They were rock solid. Really, really a fan of the SLX. Bo, welcome. Good to have you. No boat troubles. Daydreaming about the Donzi 22 Classic. Very nice from Bo up in Washington. Uh, let's see, Gregory. Let's see, Sea Chaser, 4-stroke, very slow to get up on plane. Has a Suzuki 315. stainless. Other issues, it seems to hop on flat saltwater surfaces when I'm playing. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so we've got a Sea Chaser with a 150 four-stroke, slow to get on plane. So that means we've got too big a pitch, maybe too much diameter, because it's just taken too long to get that up on top. Now, it depends what RPM range are you hitting at wide open throttle. So at wide open throttle with a light load, what's your RPM hitting? Now on that 150 DF, I'm going to guess it's probably 5,500, that same type of range, 56 to 5,800 like we had on the Merc 150. So you need to know that. So what you've got to do is you've got to look at your RPM gauge. You got to go wide open throttle with as light a load as you can go, see where you're at. That's going to tell you, do you have too much weight in the back? It's not getting on plane because you've got your live wells filled up, you've got your cooler back there, you got a full tank of fuel, and you've got everybody sitting in the back, and so you're just not getting up on plane. Could that be the culprit? Is it a balance issue that we got to get some weight up in the bow so that we can get that bow down and we're not just plowing? The next is it a propping issue? So are we swinging too big a prop where it's just that 150 just doesn't have the juice to get it spinning fast enough to get us up on plane? That would be the third thing that you want to look at. I don't know. 2017 Sea Chaser. F-150. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what size. I'm not sure what size your Sea Chaser is. But with the 150, I will say 19, 18, 19 feet maybe. Yeah. Okay. So if we look at this, is all of your weight towards the back? So what kind of gear do you got in there? What weight do you have in the front, if any? I've never run this boat, so I don't know what the balance is like. But I know, just based on the fact that Carolina Skiff is building it, I know that it's not a super heavy boat. You've got your helm is situated back a little bit. Do you have power poles back there? The fuel cell, I don't know where that is. It's hard to say. But where's your weight? Check that. Make sure that your motor's trimmed all the way down. That would be another one. Before I would get to my prop, but that I don't have any clue what setting that would take. But those would be some of the things that I'm looking at there. If that makes sense. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it. Read the Boat Buyer's Secret Weapon cover to cover. I'm not sure if it was the book or if it was the toolkit, but either way, you can grab these as a resource to help you find the right boat, help you avoid some mistakes, and just make sure that you're on the right boat. Inspect it, make sure that you find any flaws, and that I call a red flag, that you're okay with the red flags if there are any, because no boat's perfect, and but you want to know what's not perfect, and is that okay for you? Is it not okay for you? But thank you for that recommendation, Chris. Very much appreciate it, and also appreciate the contribution. That is always very much appreciated, Dustin. Time to put the girls to bed, catch up the rest tomorrow. Well, thanks for checking us out, staying for crap. We're at an hour and a half already. So we'll probably be wrapping up here soon. A lot more prop comments than, and we're up to 50 folks. So we're getting in the season football season behind us, basketball is behind us. Now this is the hot ticket in town, is the Boater Secret Weapon Live. So thank you guys all for your support and joining us. You'd think after all these years they'd come up with this at least. Yeah, it's I'm telling you, the materials that they're using in the manufacturing processes across everything is getting lower and lower quality. I'm assuming it's quality, but it's breaking easier and faster. Impellers, plastic pieces in the motors where they used to use metal, um, poor quality metals where they used to use maybe stainless steel, and they brought it back a little bit, are not as thick, not as durable. I don't know the nuances of it, but I do know the frequency of maintenance on items has gone up. And impellers is one of them. And my gut tells me it's a materials thing, that they're the materials that we're getting from China aren't as high quality, or they're just cutting the quality to cut the price, to keep the price down as much as they can to boost profits. Whatever the reasoning is, I think that's a reality of the boating world. And maybe, I mean, I had a friend that had a 2019 or a 2020 Ford Explorer that the transmission went out with 75,000 miles on it. And that, after talking to her and talking to what she said from the dealer, is that's not uncommon. Like, oh yeah, that happens. Like, what the hell? Transmissions going out at 75,000 miles on a $40,000 truck? That shouldn't happen. But it is. Whether it's maybe the transmissions have been adjusted for the EPA requirements, and that's part of it. The materials, I don't know what it is, but that type of thing is more and more common. When you send me an email, send me your contact info. Might want to buy a half hour of your time. We'll certainly do that, Eric, and I appreciate you offering. Understanding the value that my time does have some value to it. Rev limiter with 6 people, 20 foot. Okay. So if you're hitting the rev limiter with 6 people, that's a decent amount of weight to still be hitting it. So we need to get a little bit bigger prop to that's going to get you better top end. But are you, Gregory, are you the one that was saying you're not getting out of the slow to get up on plane? So you're slow to get up on plane, and you're hitting the rev limiter at the top end. So that tells us that there's more going on. Hitting the rev limiter, because usually you're hitting the rev limiter because your pitch is too small. Pitch is too small, but that's going to get you up. That's going to get you on plane quicker. It could just be a balance of the boat issue. And if, especially if we go back to that, I think I still got it up. No. 20, what'd you call it? A 20 HFC. All right. So, I mean, yeah, if all 6 of those people are in the back, I could see that. I could see that happening with the 150. Max horsepower 200. So trim tabs could be, if it's a balance issue, a little bit more weight in the bow. Trim tabs could be a value for you as well. Moving some of the weight, redistributing the weight forward when you're getting up on plane could be helpful. But if you're hitting the rev limiter already, we don't want to go down in size, which is what you would need to do, because now you're gonna tear up your engine. So I'm gonna suggest next time you're out, Gregory, try moving the weight around. Get some of that weight up in the bow, and what will happen is, instead of you going like this and that motor trying to get enough speed to get up on plane, is put some of that weight in the bow so it doesn't rise up as much. Obviously, that's exaggerated, but get that boat down so you can get going. The other thing is those trim tabs. You put the trim tabs down, which is going to force the back end up and hence the nose down. And that could be of value if you don't have trim tabs on that boat. That may be an option to consider as well. Propping it, from what you're saying, and talk to the dealer that you got it from, or talk to the Sea Chaser dealer near you, because messing with the prop, I think I don't know that that's the answer. Is kind of my gut. But again, without running the boat, without feeling what it's doing, it's hard to say exactly. But that's kind of my gut. Trevor Morgan, welcome. Huge thanks to all your great videos. Were a huge help in my recent buying process. Ended up with the Mastercraft XT22. Watch many of your wake videos. Thank you. You're very, very welcome. I love comments like that. Trevor, if you would do me a favor, leave a comment on a Google review or a Facebook review, since you're on Facebook. All of those help for people that are looking for assistance, and maybe want to invest in one of my my best boat captain program or trailer like a pro, just to let them know that, hey, I know this is an internet guy, but he's a real fella. He's trying to do the best he can to help boaters, and anything you could put out there would be appreciated. And on Facebook, Google, or both. But thank you very much. I love getting comments, and send me a picture of the boat. Would love to see it. Would love to see it. What were the first few boating locations you're going to hit? We're looking at Lake Mayfield, Saddle Dam, Columbia River, Lake Merwin. So for me, we are going to, in a couple of weeks, we're going to Lake Loudon, in Tennessee. That my in-laws have a place there. My brother-in-law is graduating from architecture school at University of Tennessee, so we'll be at their lake place for that, and probably there. But probably Lake Wiley, Lake Norman that's where I do around here locally. I don't know that I'm going to make it to Lake of the Ozarks this year. It's just our summer is jam packed with stuff already. My oldest made the middle school cheer team again, and so she has got cheer camps that take up a week. She has other camps that are taking up time. We've got, my wife and I are going on our trip in June. We've got another trip, so I'm not sure where else we're all going to go, but definitely Lake Loudon, definitely the lakes around here. Might have a question next week on my autopilot if I can't sort things out with the plug style differences. Hey, I'll do what I can, but I'm going to call in Brock, would be my guess. So Mike, you better hope that Brock's here next week. We'll see. We'll see what I can offer. That's becoming more popular with these sealed for life transmissions. Still drop the pan. Yeah. Interesting. Cheap insurance, especially when you heavy tow stuff. Yeah. It's crazy to me when she told me about it. And I was just like that. And ours, I think we had like 120,000 miles on our Honda Odyssey minivan, which we don't pull anything with that. And I was like, it was starting to, you could feel that it was starting to slip a little bit. And I'm like, all right, honey, it's time for this to go. I don't want to get stuck with whatever it was, $6,000 repair on something that is just poorly made. Ford doesn't make boats. Nice. Always swap the front and rear diffs, the same intervals. Yeah, that's, and part of it's probably on us as consumers too. We're not, Brock, you've got that knowledge and ability to do a lot of your own maintenance, and but and even me, like, I know some of this stuff is important, but I get complacent and just be like, if the Jiffy Lube place doesn't ask me to do it, I'm probably not doing it. And that could be part of it as well. It plows bad. Yeah, that tells me it's a balance issue, or make sure that trims all the way down. I assume you're doing that, but that could really have an impact. Even just a little bit of trim in it can bring that bow up, because part of your propulsion is pushing down. Well, actually pushing up, pushing the back end down and that front end up. So just always double check that you're all the way down. All right. All right. TJ, welcome. Common for brand new Bennington pontoon boats to have ugly welds on the pontoon logs. I know at 23, took it back to the dealer with concern. They kind of sent me on the way. Yeah, it is. I don't want to say it's common, but it's not unheard of. It's not unheard of to have, maybe they found, a, a manufacturer like Bennington, like Harris, like Barletta, like Crest. They're going to probably either pressure test, or they'll test their tubes for leaks before they send it down the line. And if they find something, well, the only way to do it is to re-hit it with the weld. Sometimes it can look a little off, but it's not unheard of, in the pontoon market, because the welding is typically done manually. Even Sun Tracker, the tracker pontoons that they do it robotically, they actually have a lot of leaks. I don't know why that is. I would think the robotic welding machines would be 100%. But I hear it more from the tracker boats that have a leak in it than from virtually any other brand out there. Which, as far as I know, they're the main one that are using robotic welders. I don't know of others that are using it consistently. I'm sure there are, but I'm just not aware of them. So, you know, what can you do about it? Not much, TJ. Unfortunately, I don't have there's an easy fix for it. Other than, if it's really, really bothersome, talk to, let's see here. You could do something like this. You could do something like the Vantage Guard on the pontoon. It is a material. Let's see if I can get and a better view of it. Yeah, you can kind of see it right here. In this, let me go big screen on that. But right here, it's sort of a protective covering that they put on it to protect the tubes and to make them look nicer over time. That's going to cover the welds. Maybe you could talk them into giving you a discount on that. I don't know what the price is, depending on what the size of your tubes are. I'm going to guess it's a couple grand. I don't know if anybody's got it on there that knows, but other than that, there's really not much else that you can do with those tubes. But that's something that came to mind. Sustainability, they used to, anyone use those Ford blocks? I didn't catch what that was. You're very welcome, Gregory. I know sometimes it's not always what you expecting to hear or what you want to hear, but try to give the. Now, maybe it's my computer that's messing up. There we go. But you're very welcome. Have trim tabs. So what you can do is, when you're starting out, put those trim tabs down. That could help you out, and that's going to help bring your bow down a little quicker. The weight distribution, even making sure that the cooler is up front, or I don't know. There's probably a dedicated cooler storage, and there's not a great spot up front if that's not where it is. But maybe even putting a little extra gear up front if it's consistent, and people don't want to sit up there. Put a small lead bag like they do in the in the surf boats. That could be just enough. 200, 300 pounds could be just enough to get the balance right for you with the way your load is. World's most popular boat. TJ, the welds are horrendous. I'm a pipe fitter, so I did like you'll know then. You'll pay attention to that kind of stuff. It's one of the things that I do when I shop at boat shows. When I look, is I look at the welds. I specifically look at the welds on the motor mount and on the end cap. Those are the ones I really focus on. But yeah, unfortunately, there a lot of them are hand done, and if they find a hole, they're just welding over it, because they're not going to throw that log out. A big trip for the club this year is up to the Finger Lakes in New York, 3 weeks, and the third week of June. Nice, that'll be fun. I hear it's beautiful up there too. I hear that's a beautiful area. Remember back when I used to miss camping trips for band camp. Those were the days. Oh, if the alum isn't clean, if the aluminum and acetone will get, if the aluminum isn't cleaned with acetone, you will get porosity. I don't know. I don't know that. That must be a welding term. I'm not familiar with that one. But okay, that's interesting that you've got to prep. You got to prep the weld before doing it. That makes me want to look up that word. porosity. Okay. Let's see if we got an image of porosity. Means that air is getting through. Do we got a? Oh, there we go. What is porosity in welding? Yeah, that's a nasty looking weld versus the versus this, which is kind of what you want to see. That's what a weld should look like on a pontoon. And that is, what is this here? I've never seen one. I've never seen one that bad. But that I guess I have seen what that looks like. I just didn't know that's what it was called. Thank you, Mike. Always learning something around here. That's good. Sustainability just quoted 2,500 for the Vanguard system. Should have done that when it was new. Okay, 20. Yeah, I knew it was a couple thousand. And yours is a 25. So that's a pretty good data point. Looking to buy a boat, South Florida, Treasure Coast area. If you've got some advice on a Tahoe, it's a good boat for a family of 4. Yeah, it's a fine boat. The one thing, Andrew, that you want to consider is, it's a value boat. It's a value boat, so it's not. There's going to be little ticky tacky things. Like I ran a Tahoe. It was a 2150 that was like 2 years old, and the steering wheel, the material on the steering wheel was coming off. The latches weren't shutting properly because the hinges were cheap, and it sort of got out of whack. But what I really want to say to you is, it depends on where you're going to run this boat. Okay, so you're in South Florida, the Treasure Coast area, which I don't really know. Treasure Coast. But this is not a boat that you're going to want to take through a rough inlet. It's not a boat that you're going to want to take offshore in any sort of situations. It's just the gunnel's too low. It's not deep enough. And you're going to, if you can see, and this is a Photoshop photo, I think, but you can see that the rake of the bow kind of comes down, which means if you get in a 2-footer and you don't run the throttle just right, you're going to stuff the bow. Now, if you're just running around in the intercoastal, in protected waters, and let me see if I can. So, like, if you're running around in, I don't know what that's called here, the St. Lucie River. If you're running up in this area, you're fine. If you're running behind the Hutchinson Island, you're in good shape in that intercoastal kind of band right there. But what I'm not going to want to do is I'm not going to want to go through the Jupiter Inlet. I'm not taking that boat out here. I'm fine running down the island there, and I'm fine operating in this area that's protected. And going to the sandbars and stuff that are back here. But I am not going through, what is this, whatever this inlet, St. Lucie, whatever that inlet's called, Fort Pierce Jetty, Fort Pierce Inlet. I'm not going through there in that boat. So it depends on, Andrew, how you're going to use it and where you're going to use it. And knowing that it is it's a value level boat. It's perfectly safe. It's got a Merc on it, like any other higher brand, a Sea Ray, a Stingray, Regal, anything else that's going to have that black motor on the back. But it's just not designed. It's not designed to go offshore in any form or fashion. And I encourage you, don't do it. Don't do it. Not even on a calm day, because you got a family, you got 2 kids, you don't want to put them in danger. Okay. If you wanted to do that, to do some fishing offshore, something like that, look at a center console. You can find something that would fit the bill. But that boat is not. I don't want you to take it outside of those protected waters, if that makes sense. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Andrew. Love it up there. Oh, that's right. You have some connections to up north, as a kid growing up in Maryland. Nice. All right, guys. This has been a fun one. We almost hit 2 hours, an hour and 47 minutes. I appreciate everybody that contributed. Chris, thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that and the contribution. Osmosis, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Eric, thank you very much. I will look at your email and try to get you some insight there. Fun conversation, guys. Boating season's getting here. Gotta get a little bit warmer, and we'll be ready. We'll catch you all next weekend. Thank you guys very much, and we will. Yes, awesome, Andrew. Glad that was helpful, and we'll talk to you all next weekend. Take care, everybody.